So let's do something completely different. So I recently went to a hobby shop, not too far from, well, about a 45-minute from where I live, and picked up a couple of kits here. I've got this clock here, the G.E.T clock, Da Vinci series, and I got a flying pendulum clock. Each of these were about $24, give or take. So we're just going to build today, we're just going to build this one. I will save this one for a future video. So we're just going to kind of, like I said, do something different, do a little bit of a clock build. And we're just going to hang out and build a kit. We're not going to do any scratch building. We're not going to do any other complicated stuff. This hopefully will just be a nice, easy, relaxing build. And if you are new to my channel, feel free to go ahead and put it on 1.5 or 2 times speed. Everybody else does. That's fine. I know I talk slow. So here it is. We'll just kind of go through and take a look at all the parts and pieces here. We've got the instructions, and it doesn't look too bad. We've got a warning label that says to check the parts list before unsealing. And yeah, I'm sure everybody does that. And we've also got this warning. Don't do that, don't do that, and don't do that. Perfect. All right, so let's take a look at these parts. So what I will do is we're just gonna build. I will, when I edit it, I will cut out anything that's repetitive or boring. Well, you know, not the boring stuff, because then I wouldn't have a video. And these are nice looking pieces. It's a nice looking kit. I have not done one of these kits before, so this is all new to me. Looks like they've made it to where you can't do it wrong. So just in case you didn't know, which you probably don't because I've never said it, but I have always had a fascination with clockworks, watchworks, clock mechanisms. Several years ago, I actually looked into a school about clock making. To learn how to be a watchmaker. It was a watchmaker school. And this was probably, I don't know, at least 20 years ago? Yeah, at least 20 years ago. And I saw an ad in the paper, this school wanting students because, you know, watchmakers are a dying breed these days, apparently. But, so the school had an ad looking for students. And so I went out there and took a tour of the facility, looked at the school. But with our current, or back then, with our position then, my wife and I could not justify the expense of moving and putting me back to school. And it wasn't like, you know, it's a fascination, it wasn't a passion, if that makes any sense. So, obviously, the gears. So, you know, it wasn't too terribly of a hard decision to not go and do that. But I would say I came about that close to doing it. But like I said, I've always had a fascination for clocks and watches. And several years ago when I first got my 3D printer, way before I started doing YouTube, I downloaded a clock from Thingiverse. I do not remember who designed it. I just found a file and downloaded it and printed it. I'll pause for a moment now and put a short video of that clock running. But I don't have that with me anymore. A friend of mine I used to work with really liked it, and so I gave it to him. And it is not an accurate timepiece, but it worked. And I just built it because again, I like clocks and stuff, and I wanted to build a clock. And that kind of took care of my clock building itch, I guess you could say. So maybe one of these days I might build another one, different style, 3D printed one maybe. So we'll just go through and put this thing together. So it looks like we need, that one's A2, that one says, I don't know if you can see it, that one says A2. This one hopefully says something different. Yep, that one's A1. And it doesn't look like there's an up to down to that. Looks like it's symmetrical, however you put it. You would think there'd be an arrow on it if it did matter. But I'll put there's a label B1 right there. I'll put that at the bottom, even though, again, it doesn't look like it matters. And, well, I guess it'll have to be close to bottom. It just goes on like that. Now, one idea that I had, or have, is what I would really like to do. I don't know if I will or not. I won't anytime soon because I'm like way too far behind on other projects. For one thing I would really like to do is someday in the future take this apart and remake all of the parts out of wood or brass, like redo all the gears out of brass, do these stands here out of wood. I think, you know, make it look more Da Vinci like. I think that would be really cool. 3, looks like we have these. Now they're only showing the one going in there, but I'm going to assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, I'm just going to do the one they show. You never know. I was going to assume that you put one in every spot, but looking at this, that's longer than this, so those are probably going to be longer ones. And that just goes in here and locks it in. Stick it in and turn it. Yeah, that worked. That took a tight, that's tight. And for a second I thought it might break, but yeah, that's a nice, good, positive turn. And a nice, good, positive lock there. Oh yeah, it does. Step 2. Step 2 shows where the other ones go in, but I'm not done with step 1 yet. Okay, that's weird. So step 1 kind of continues over. That's the 50. That would be, they are labeled. Kind of hard to read, but they are 50 tooth, 10 tooth. Looks like that one goes there. We have 2 of those. Now, if you are new to my channel, thank you for joining me. I definitely appreciate it. But if you're new to my channel, something you need to know is that this is not my normal kind of thing that I do. I'm not, even though I have a big interest in it, I'm not a clock or watch maker. So, you know, I wouldn't want you to subscribe to this channel expecting to see more stuff like this, because again, that's not what I typically do. My channel is all about just random building stuff. I just like building various things. I've got several videos on radio controlled models, static display models, 3D printed models, just a lot of different random stuff. So if you like and don't mind randomness, then feel free and subscribe. Help me out a little bit. If you like more continuity in your life, then feel free to not subscribe. And that looks like it goes right up in there. C7. That goes on like that. I need better lighting in my shop. One of you commenters told me I need better lighting in my shop several videos ago. And I know I haven't done it yet. One of these days, I'll try and get some better lighting in the shop. But that should, there you go. Fit better than that. I'm sure it's me doing it wrong. Maybe if I put that on first. Oh, I bet that's supposed to spring out. There. Yeah, so that part, C7, is kind of spring-loaded in. You got to kind of push that apart, so that'll go on it. And that is the winding. Yeah, that was slick. So I get to show you how to do that again as I put it on backwards. All right, and then this goes over top of that, like that. There. Cool. And I need the 20-tooth B gear. That goes and then that goes like that. Cool. Our first movement. Cool. 12-tooth. I'm glad they labeled those. Sometimes I need a little bit of help to see. Yep, that's it. And 3 millimeters from the top. It's a little bit of a slide fit, but not bad. And we'll check millimeter wise, 3 millimeters. Wow, I just guessed that and I was at 3.4. Looks close enough to me. And that is going to go right there. And then we get to put the top on. Now we lock that down. E1, E1, E2. All right, here's the E2. E2 goes at the bottom hole. And E1. Need 3 of those. Now, if you do like clockmaking, well, if you don't, why are you watching? I mean, I'm glad you're here, but kind of weird if you don't like it. But if you do, which I'm assuming you do, be sure you check out one of my favorite channels for watching clockmaking. And some of you probably already know who I'm going to say, and that would be ClickSpring. He is by far one of my favorite and many other people's favorites as far as clock and watchmaking. Make sure you check him out. But there we go. All right, we are ready for those things. I think this would look really cool if it was all done in wood and brass, but that would be quite a project. I got too many other projects going on, so don't expect me to do that anytime soon, if you know what I mean. So that's going to go here, and that's going to go, that's got to go down further than that. Yeah, kind of a press fit on that one. And not only do they have like the big tooth, but they have the arrows on there to make it really like impossible to put it on wrong. And I guess that's all for that step. Was that it? Just those two pieces? Right, and then that. Make sure those are still correct. Just making sure that doesn't have an up or a down on it. Then E3 and E3. Now I bought this at that hobby shop. It was a new one I just found searching local hobby shops online, and went to check them out. I could have got this a little bit cheaper if I would have got it on eBay, but I didn't have to wait for it to ship, and I'm supporting the local hobby shop, which is always good. The hobby shop that was right near me, like literally a 2-minute drive, like closed. Shut down. But it is nice when you can to support your local hobby shop. On the front, we got that piece, which again, looks like it doesn't matter, up or down wise. And C6. When you're removing parts from a tree, it's always better to cut it with flush cutters instead of just twisting until it breaks, because sometimes that could damage or tear into the plastic a little bit. The flush cutters I use are fairly cheap. I've already dinged them and nicked them a little bit, cutting stuff that they're not supposed to cut, but they still cut flush, they still work fine. And then we finally get to put it on the base. Pretty good size. One thing I'm curious to find out is how long it'll run. You know. And then we've got these pieces. These are all the same, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. And one nice thing about this kit is, as you see, there's like no glue. It's held together with those little cam locks. So it would be fairly easy later in the future, if I decide to take it apart and then remake all the parts out of wood and brass. But again, like I said, don't expect that anytime soon. It's just a thought. And these are pretty self-explanatory, the way these all go together. These are the little baskets that hold the weights. I think they just use coins, probably quarters, or whatever coin fits in there. So 2 of those, and the little hangers. This one is the hexagonal shaft. It's the only one in the kit, so I don't know why I was matching it up. It's the only one in there. And like that. And then it would help if I would follow the instructions. I skipped an entire step. Get that out of the way for now. You're supposed to go, all right, here's a pro tip. You're supposed to go from 3 to 4, not to 5. I went from 3 to 5. So yeah, 3 to 4. Need that. And that. This is unused. All right, so the inside of the hairspring is hexagonal, and that part right there is also hexagonal. And that just needs to plug into that. And I missed. There we go. There you go. That looks much better. That should probably be, let me redo that, because that should probably be with this, with the spring not sprung. I'm thinking that one thing should be pointing down, because it looked like on the drawing it was cocked off to the side, but I think you would think it should be down like that. That's got to be more better. Yeah, that's definitely working better. All right, cool. Now I'm ready for that step 5. And this just sits on top of that. Just like that. And we need E4 and E4. And then we need that bearing. I'm sure that's a ruby bearing, right? This goes, and we need the gear 22th A. It's the last gear, so it's got to be the right one. And we also need the knob. All right, so the bearing fits in there. And I'm going to have to put that shaft through there, trapping that gear in the middle. So we'll slip that in. Yep. Let's try it this way. This is the only, so far, difficult part of the build, if you want to call it difficult. Really not too bad. There it went. That'll work. So that knob right there goes to the shaft through that gear and then into this whole assembly here. And it kind of press fits into there, kind of. But there's still a little bit more play in there than I would think. It's got to go in further. Maybe I was wrong about that. I don't know. You would think it wouldn't have that much play in it. I mean, it still works. Maybe it's on purpose so it doesn't bind. But, yeah. All right, I guess that's it. What else? That's it. How to operate. Place coins in weights. Raise it up, you can hear it winding. And we just got to put some coins in here. So there's a view of the, all right, get that all in there. There's a view of the front, view of the back. So let's get some coins in here and watch it run. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bank. It's got a nice sound. Not near as exciting from the back. But I like it. I think it's pretty cool. So anyways, as I always say, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you next time. Bye. Just trying some better lighting. The weights are almost all the way down. It only runs for a few minutes. But it was never intended to be an accurate timepiece. That's pretty cool. Not bad for 24 bucks. Okay, I'm done. You guys are done. See you later. Bye. That was perfect timing. It just stopped.